When I mentioned excitement for my brother's wedding tomorrow, my aunt said, "It was last week," showing me family photos without me. Brother and parents laughed. "Didn't we tell you?" A month later, when they rang me about stopped renovation payments, I simply replied, "Didn't I tell you?" Update 3. Then came the flood of angry messages from Thomas, threatening to take me to court, calling me crazy, blaming me for our parents' financial struggles. But the most surprising response came from my father. He reached out to my lawyer and sent me a formal letter, the only method allowed under the restrictions. "Samantha," he wrote, "I watched in silence as you were pushed out of the family. My cowardice led us here. If legal action is what it takes, maybe it's what we deserve. I just want you to know I'm sorry. If I had been a better father, this might not have happened." Reading his letter, I felt a flicker of pity, but the pain was still fresh. The wounds were still deep. The restraining order remained in place. Susan handled their continued questions about finances. Eventually, they understood this wasn't a bluff. I was no longer part of their lives, and I was ready to face the consequences of their careless words and actions. But this was only the beginning. A few days after the restraining order was issued, I was finally ready to take the hardest step. That day, Susan called me. "Samantha, about your parents' cottage. It's ready legally. It's yours. You have the right to evict them. What would you like to do?" "Send the eviction notice," I said without hesitation. That cottage was the last thread connecting me to them. It wasn't mine originally. It had belonged to my grandparents. Then it got passed to my mother. Years ago, when my parents fell behind on payments, I quietly purchased my mother's share. Legally, I owned it all, but no one in the family ever updated their assumptions. They treated it like a shared family property. Everyone used it for weekends, holidays, even whole summers. Eventually, after retirement, my parents decided to live there full-time, and I allowed it, but then I was done. I was ready to take it back. The following Monday, I drove to the cottage with Michael Zong, another attorney. The sheriff came with us, just in case. When we arrived, my father greeted us at the door. He looked older, his hair was nearly white. "Samantha," he said weakly, "won't you come in?" "No," I replied. "Michael, please explain." Michael cleared his throat, and handed my father a formal envelope. "Mr. Anderson, this is an official notice of eviction from this property. You have 30 days to vacate, and return the keys." My father stared at the paper, his hands shaking. "But this is our home," he said. "No," I said, my voice calm, though my heart pounded. "This is my property. I allowed you to use it before, but that permission has been revoked." My mother appeared behind the door. "What's going on?" "They're telling us to leave." "Debbie," my father said. His voice trembled. My mother looked at me, her eyes filled with betrayal. "You're kicking us out of our home, our retirement home." "You've always known this was legally mine," I replied. "You've continued to take advantage of my kindness." "We have nowhere to go," she said. "You can live with Thomas," I answered. "He made it very clear a few months ago that I wasn't family." My father lowered his head. "He was wrong. We all were." "It's too late," I said. "In 30 days, if you're not prepared to move out, your remaining belongings will be removed, and the locks changed." "Why are you doing this?" Her voice was shaky with confusion. "Because as you said, I got the hint." As I turned to leave, my father grabbed my arm. "We're truly sorry, Samantha," he said, eyes welling with tears. "Can't you give us one more chance?" I gently pulled my arm away. "You had years, you had countless chances, and I'll say it again, it's too late." That day, as I left the cottage, I felt something heavy lift from my shoulders. I no longer needed their approval. I no longer needed them to define my worth. 30 days later, they left quietly. The cottage was sold. I began a new chapter. Now you can watch the fourth part.